Hi there. This is a taster for finance conference, which is taking place on on Wednesday 13th and Thursday the 14th of March at the ACC in Liverpool. This taster is going to involve a discussion with myself asking some questions to our specialists who are attending the session with me. There's Catherine Wilson from Savills and Richard Petty from JLL. We're going to be doing a sort of introduction, a taster for finance conference as described, because Catherine and Richard were both appearing at finance conference for their session, which is entitled Housing Market Valuations Update. And for this session, I'm going to ask each of them a couple of questions just to give a flavour and a sort of introduction, a taster before finance conference. So here we go, kicking off. In preparation, obviously, for the conference, there's a lot going on in the sector. There's many different things affecting both valuations and the sector, from new RICS guidance, there's lotting, there's rent policy, there's Decent Homes 2, there's a general election, there's new central government, all these different factors. So it'd be really good, I think, for the audience to hear what, and a really good opportunity to discuss what valuations are actually for.
Yeah, thanks, John. I'll take that one to start with, if that's okay. So I think first and foremost, a valuation is about having an independent opinion of what an asset or a whole portfolio of assets are worth at any given time. So taking that away from a housing association and its own internal decision making, taking it away from a funder that might be considering a loan. It's about an independent view of what assets are worth. And that, of course, creates reliance. So I'm going to hesitate to put it in these terms, but I think it's the simplest way to say it. It's about having somebody to blame if that opinion turns out to be wrong. And ultimately, that is why you have an independent view, because it's easier than blaming yourself. You go to an expert, they stand behind that opinion, they will give reliance most of the time for that valuation, and informing that independent view, it should be about the valuer bringing all his or her market intelligence, awareness, all the experience they've got of lots of different situations together. They should come together in that opinion. Catherine, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I think yeah, that's correct. I think you're using a valuer that's experienced and, as Richard said, is qualified also to give that opinion that abides by the rules of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, which tells us how to go about the valuation. But we're also using our own sector knowledge as well, and what's going on in the sector and the intricacies of what happens, and how the associations manage stock, and what the people who are having reliance actually really want from the valuation. So you're going to somebody who rolls all that information into one and can explain that clearly and concisely in a valuation report, which is in the end our product that we're producing, just for anybody to be able to pick up and understand exactly how we do it.
Great. Well, thanks for that answer, both. That's been really helpful and insightful. Just moving on to the next question. This is really asking about what kind of purpose, what is the purpose that they serve, the valuations that you provide, and who were they, at the end of the day, who were they actually for? What is the audience? Who are the actual, who are they for?
Yeah, the word purpose is really one of the main important points of the valuation process, because we want to understand what the valuation is going to be used for, whether it's for a loan security or it's for an accounts valuation, or for disposal purposes, for example, if an association is selling some stock, with a slightly different approach for each purpose, because we need to understand who the eventual reader is going to be, and as Richard said, who's going to be having reliance on it. And that's where the question, who are they for? Is it for loan security? Is it for a bank? Is it for an investors? Is it for capital market bond refinancing? If it's for accounts purposes, it's for the association's own internal use, for their own accounts, for their accountants to show what they own, what the stock is worth at that given point in time. So really, it's really important for us to understand who is going to be having reliance on it, and for what purpose. So they are very different purposes, different approaches. And like Richard said, we've been doing this for a long time now. We've got a lot of experience on each of them. We know the differences between them all, and hopefully can get that across to you today and at our session, really what the drivers are on them as well.
Just to add briefly to that, I think this is putting it in the simplest possible terms, but valuations are for the client and they are for the party to whom they're addressed. So there perhaps are some common misconceptions in the sector, because a lot of borrowers perhaps sometimes miss the points that a loan security valuation is for the bank. It is not for the borrower. It is for the bank to rely upon it. And if there were a default and push did come to shove on the realisation of the security, that's what the bank will rely on. But it's there to make the client who is actually receiving that valuation, the party to whom it's addressed, as aware as they can be of all the factors that should be taken into consideration in reaching that opinion of value.
Great, thanks for that answer, both. Again, very interesting stuff. And then I guess it'd be interesting for the audience to understand also, what are the benefits of valuation?
Yeah, that's a really good question, John. I mentioned earlier independence, and I think I'd put that at the top of the list. We've talked already about market intelligence and awareness about what's going on in the market. All valuers who are expert in the way that Catherine's rightly described should be able to bring those things together, and valuers should be reflecting the market. They're not trying to make it in any way. They're, in a sense, they're holding a mirror up to the market, but many different facets of the market that they will see elsewhere need to be taken into account in forming the particular view they're forming. We've talked about reliance, but even where we don't get anywhere near formal reliance, as I very much hope we don't very often, a good valuation should improve the quality of your decision making within the organisation or within the bank that's taking a lending decision. So that's really important. I think also there's a big element of rigour to this, and when we've seen this time and time again, clients provide data to valuers. Valuers make assumptions, but a good valuation process will challenge those assumptions, challenge the data you get from the client, even with simple things like when you go out and do inspections. Are you looking at property that is in good condition? Is it what you're told it is before you go and see it? Sometimes it isn't, so that due diligence is really important. And I think lastly, it's about accuracy, and the better that process is, the better the accuracy of the opinion and value that you get.
Great, thanks, Richard. Catherine, any comments?
Another benefit, I guess, is really just helping with internal decision making as well, with being able to run sensitivity analysis as well and looking at different options for particularly for an association or for a lender that's sort of making decisions and looking at what's going on in the market. For example, what would happen if something happened to the rents? There was a rent cap, or there was a lot more works done on the external wall systems, for example, on a property, and just sort of looking at the different options, what would happen to that bottom line of the valuation if certain circumstances changed. So really useful decision-making tools, and being able to give the full picture and run different scenarios through.
Great, thanks for that, both. I guess just probably one more question from me, and that's really, like, in terms of the current environment, what kind of factors are impacting on valuations?
Well, when we speak in Liverpool, John, we're going to be looking at a whole host of things. I think there is a lot happening at the moment, and probably the things on Catherine's mind are very similar to those on mine. Rent policy, I think, is a key factor. We've recently had the ruling on the lack of a rent cap in April 24. I think that's really helpful. There's been a lot of thinking around cost inflation and around the impact on operating costs, and we've seen a lot in the press about what that's doing to covenant compliance and headroom in organisations. Retrofitting is looming up high on the agenda and the cost of that, and then probably the last thing perhaps to factor in is just around political change this year, and how the sector is going to balance the need to keep building more homes with its ability to do so, and its desire to protect its financial position and its reputation, both with the regulator and with government.
Great. Catherine?
Yeah, I think we've covered those points. We'd also cover anything else that the RNFCS implement on us. We've got valuation rotation at the moment. We've got using discounted cash flows, which we already do. It's just the rest of the world, the surveying world is coming up to the same speed as we are at the moment and using the DCFs. So we talk about that as well. We talk about our view on lotting and how that would affect our valuations. Building safety that Richard's mentioned as well, and anything else that happens in the next sort of 8 weeks before Liverpool, we'll definitely cover.
Great. Well, thanks both for that discussion. That's been really insightful, helpful stuff, and we're all looking forward to seeing you guys at Finance Conference in a couple of months.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.